Do you want more organic engagement on Instagram? Are you having a hard time knowing what to post? In this video, I'll share a number of tips that I have used to consistently grow my account and hundreds of my clients' accounts. At the end, we'll do a little algorithm breakdown, what engagement counts and how it is actually ranked on Instagram. This is going to be an in-depth video covering the feed, Instagram stories, and analytics. So we will have chapter markers in the description and play bar below. Feel free to jump ahead or re-watch certain sections as you need them. Let's start first with your Instagram feed. My first tip here is to post more carousels. Carousels are a singular feed post that contains 2 or more photos or videos, up to 10, that you can swipe through. You've probably seen them with the little dots under the bottom of the post. You can use them to showcase multiple photos of an event or aspects of your product, or create a mini educational slide deck. So why are carousels so powerful? These posts double your chances of getting reach in the feed. If a user doesn't engage with your post the first time they see it, Instagram will actually resurface that post in their feed again the next time they log in, displaying a different post from the sequence. Now, this only happens twice. If you have 5 posts in your carousel, it's not going to resurface 5 times. It will only resurface the second time, but it's a great chance for that second exposure. Carousels are also a great way to declutter your feed by consolidating your content. Instead of posting 10 separate posts on your feed and probably frustrating your audience, you can put them all in one post in one easy to access place. Now, a few warnings and tips about using your carousels. Don't use the same image twice. Instagram doesn't like it, and neither will your followers, so make sure you're using at least 2 separate images. Also, if you are posting before and after type content, put the after photo first. This will typically perform better because that's the prettiest looking image that's going to get people's attention. The next thing you can do in the feed to improve your engagement is to write a really good first sentence for your caption. You'll notice scrolling through Instagram that captions are truncated after the second line of text with a ... more. If your followers do not click ... more, they are not seeing all that copy that you carefully crafted. So you want to start your caption with a good, strong hook that encourages them to click on it and read more. Think of this like a great blog post title, like an email subject line header. Use emojis, use capital letters, make a bold statement. Do something to capture their attention and encourage that click on ... more. Additionally, when someone does click on that ... more to read your caption, that is a positive ranking algorithmically that Instagram recognizes. We don't get metrics on it, but it shows that your audience in that case is very interested in that content. Also, this becomes a micro commitment for the user, increasing their chances of taking more action on your profile. They don't see your call to action if they don't read that copy. They're not going to navigate to your profile if they didn't see that call to action. The next feed tip is level up your tagging game. The most popular and most important tag on Instagram are hashtags. I have an entire series of videos about just that topic, and you can watch that here, but here's a quick overview. So the super short version of my super secret recipe that I tell everybody is you want to use a combination of popular hashtags, moderately popular hashtags, niche specific hashtags, and your own branded hashtags. This gives you a broad range of hashtags to reach as many people as possible for the longest period of time, allowing your content to perform better. Now, we should point out that getting that reach from things like hashtags is important to getting engagement, because the more people you reach and that see your content, the more likely they are to engage with likes and comments. There are 2 other tagging features that are not often talked about as much on Instagram, but they can definitely help with your reach and engagement. The first is going to be location tags. Be sure to tag your location and be as specific as possible. When you can, tag a finite location, be it a business, a street, rather than a broad location like a city or a larger space like a community. Why this matters is because if you were to tag something like San Diego as your location, there's probably millions of posts associated with that and a ton of content, and yours will be hard to surface in those searches. But if you tagged a very narrow area or a specific business, there's less competition for posts, which means if someone's looking in that general area or for that business, they are more likely to see your content, getting you more reach and therefore more engagement. The last type of tag is often overlooked. This is to actually tag someone in your photo or video. The process is basically the same. You're gonna do your upload like you normally would, write your caption, all of that. Just below the caption option, you have the tag people option. Tap on that. On a photo, you will have the option to tap anywhere on the image itself to start tagging. On a video, you just start tagging. You can tag up to 20 people on an Instagram post. Now, I don't recommend you tag up to 20 people. You want to keep this limited to the people or brands that are actually in that content. You should not be tagging people who are not involved with that content or who are not in the post itself. Tagging a user actually has some additional benefits. If you tag a user in your content, they will be notified that they are tagged, and that post will also appear in their tagged photos on their profile. Now, they can technically remove that tag if they don't want to be tagged in your content. And here's a little pro tip for you. If you are tagging people in the photo or video itself, it's also a good practice to @mention them in the caption. Sometimes people may not see the actual tags in a photo or a video, but they're reading the caption and will see the @mentions there. And now the last tip for increasing engagement in the feed, you can share your Reels and IGTV videos to your feed to give them a little extra visibility and prompt engagement. We have videos about each of these tactics. We'll link to them in the description below. Instagram stories can be a great way to prompt engagement since there are a ton of tools built in that encourages audience interaction. There are actually two types of engagement on Instagram stories: passive and active engagement. Think of passive engagement as taking action without actually doing anything physical. They just watched your entire series. That would be passive engagement. Active engagement means that your follower is taking some sort of action in the post, like tapping on a sticker or sharing the post or navigating to your profile. Both types of engagement are great, but Instagram definitely favors that active engagement. So how can we encourage active engagement in our stories? Instagram makes it easy for us with all the different story stickers. You should absolutely be considering using things like question sticker, polls, quizzes, even the slider and the countdown stickers. These invite your followers to participate in the conversation. Plus, you can use these to gain helpful insights into your audience. They're a great way to find out what your audience values, what they're interested in, what matters most to them, and that sort of thing. Just like we talked about for feed posts, you should also be using hashtags, the location sticker, and the @mention sticker for pretty much the same reasons we already mentioned. We have an entire playlist all about stories and organic engagement. You can click on that card to watch that too. Here's a pro tip for you. Also make sure to use the featured stickers on Instagram stories. These are seasonal stickers that might highlight a holiday trend or movement. These often get featured more prominently in the stories bar, and when used appropriately can give you a little boost in that reach and engagement. I recommend being selective about your posting. Think about your followers' experience. They might feel overwhelmed and swipe away from your stories if they see 100 tiny dashes across the top of your stories. So for the most part, I recommend you post no more than 7 in a 24-hour period. Post in a series with about 3 to 5 photos and videos tend to have the best results. Also, mix photos and videos. It keeps their attention a little bit more engaged and will ensure that they're more likely to take that active engagement. Individual story length doesn't matter for Instagram stories, although they are limited to 15 seconds for videos. Photos play for about 6 seconds. Beyond stickers, there are a number of other actions that users can take. If you have a professional account with over 10,000 followers, you can utilize the swipe up feature, allowing you to add any link to any story. If you don't yet have 10,000 followers, that's okay. You can still use the swipe up to send people to your IGTV videos where you can put a link there. Regardless of whether you want people to comment on your story, share, or swipe up, you often just need to ask them. And that goes for feed, Reels, and IGTV as well. There is no penalty from Instagram for asking for that action. Now let's talk about some general things to consider all across the Instagram platform to increase your engagement. First, be consistent with your branding. If people can quickly recognize your stories or your posts visually, they're more likely to stop and positively engage. Don't make it hard for them. Have consistent branding elements or colors in your feed posts. For example, with my Instagram stories, I typically use the same font, which is the neon font, and I usually use one of 2 filters, Paris being one of them. And if I'm doing a text post, I almost always use a pink gradient background. background. Now, no matter what your brand colors are, there are some colors that might give you a slight edge or disadvantage according to studies. Take these with a grain of salt since there are so many other factors that go into an engaging post or brand. But blue has been found to increase engagement by up to 20%. This could be a blue sky, a blue prop, a blue shirt. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, but using the color blue can help. In contrast, using black and white images tends to underperform compared to color images. That doesn't mean you can't use black and white. Some photographers use it exceptionally well. Just be cognizant of that potential for lower performance. So take the time and experiment with different filters, whether you choose ones with warmer tones or cooler tones. And just because your primary brand color is a particular color, don't be afraid to experiment with other colors to see if that increases your post engagement. Just one more tip before we get into insights and myth busting. If you are getting value from this video, can you like this video? See? Asking for engagement, it works on other platforms too. When you can, I recommend including a human component in your post. By adding a human element, this could be as simple as including a hand holding a product. It could be shooting over someone's shoulder, and this will typically increase engagement 10% or more. One of the best ways to actually increase your engagement is by knowing what your audience is already engaging with. So let's talk about Instagram Insights. To get to your Instagram Insights, you're going to go to your Instagram profile. You may have an Insights button right there on the profile. Great. Tap on that and you're into your insights. If you don't see that button, that's okay. Tap on the 3-line button in the upper right corner and then choose the insights option from that menu. And as a reminder, the insights are only available to those professional accounts, which are either creator or business accounts. If you want more clarity on the difference between the 3 types of accounts, we have a link to that video in the description below. So once you get into the insights page, you're going to see at the top a quick overview of your account performance, and then you're going to see separate sections. One for post, one for stories, one for IGTV, and one for promotions. Tapping on any one of those categories will get you into much more detail with your insights and allow us to start looking for patterns and trends. Within each category, whether it's feed, stories, IGTV, there's going to be different patterns and trends you're looking for. There's also going to be different types of content that drive different kinds of engagement. How can you figure all of that out? Let's look at post first. If you tap on that option from the insights page, you're going to get to a sorting screen, which is going to allow you to sort for a variety of criteria. On feed posts, you can go up to 2 years in old content, and you can search for a whole bunch of criteria. Things that you're going to want to look for are what is driving the most in terms of engagement for likes and comments. You may notice that when it comes to your likes and comments, that posts with animals get a lot of engagement, or posts with certain colors get a lot of engagement. If your purpose for a post is to get engagement, you want to know what pattern or trend is going to keep that post high performing. Now, I should also point out that my favorite metric to look at this point is actually reach. Engagement is great, and that's ultimately what you want. But on Instagram, there are so many steps that a user can take that are actually engagement, but that we don't get metrics for. So if someone just scrolls long enough to stop and look at your photo a little bit slower than usual, they swipe through that carousel, if they click on ... more to read your caption, those are all positive ranking algorithmically, but we have no metric on those. So if reach is high, that's telling you how many people actually saw it regardless of the level of interaction. So the reach can often be a better indicator of post performance regardless of what your engagement looks like. Now, when it comes to Instagram stories, it has very similar features to searching for patterns and trends, as does your feed posts. You can only go back 2 weeks in content here, but again, you can look for when you used certain filters. Was it when you had or did not have text? Was it when your product was or was not in the story? That can help you determine what is working and what your audience is most engaged with. Similarly, you can go look at your IGTV and your promotions for all these different trends to figure out what your specific audience is most reactive to with your specific content, allowing you to create more of what works. As we're talking about all of these insights, if you were just now switching to a professional account on Instagram, you will only see metrics for your new post going forward. And it may take a little while while for these analytics to populate, so make the switch now so you can start taking advantage of this. One of the common myths that we hear all the time regarding Instagram is that analytics and scheduling are great, but is there a reduced reach for professional accounts on Instagram? No! Having a professional account does not diminish your reach on Instagram. I have an entire video breaking down the differences between the account types, but in short, I recommend most people, especially brands, use the business account because they offer so many benefits. Now, because of this rumor, some users have switched between personal and business or creator accounts to try to get an edge. I do have a warning about this. Switching between accounts occasionally isn't going to hurt you, but Instagram doesn't like bulk activity, so I would certainly avoid anything that raises red flags where you're constantly swapping back and forth between account types. Another question that always comes up about Instagram is photos versus videos. Which one should you use? On Instagram, there is no algorithmic preference between the two. Instagram doesn't care, but your audience probably cares. If your audience prefers video, you're going to want to give them more video. If they prefer photos, you're going to want to focus on photos. You can use your Instagram Insights as well to go and find out what content your audience is most responsive to and then do more of that. Another myth is whether or not you'll be penalized for asking for engagement on Instagram. Now, I'm not going to recommend you put double tap to like as a call to action on every post, but yes, you can ask. You will not be penalized for it. Encourage your fans to tag a friend in the comments below if they know someone who would benefit from the information you are sharing. It's okay to ask for them to click on the link in bio. It's okay to ask them to save or share the post. It's not gonna hurt you. I have just scratched the surface of so many of these strategies. For more in-depth video trainings about hashtags, Instagram stories, tagging, and more, watch this playlist, or here's another video that you might enjoy.